Hello guys, Susanna here. Well, I'm back with my my pink Galah, and this is what I've been working on with what I've been doing with my piece from the vintage sort of like, it's like a little tablecloth doily type of thing. I'm going to end up framing this. So this is, I just started doing this for myself, but because I had quite a bit of this fabric, and I've still got some of this from the sparrow spool thing, because it was like a queen size quilt. So yeah, so I've still got to do a bit more, and this was what I've done. I've just used wool embroidery and everything. I really love how it's turning out. I thought I'd just do a bit of a play on that side, and then I'm going to repeat that on that side, and I'm going to go around there and, you know, do bits and pieces. But I've had such a positive response from this beautiful Galah that I decided to make some kits. So I've got enough for, I think I've got 19, but I've got a square. I reckon I could probably do 20 kits, because these are the leftover pieces that I used for this, and I reckon that might be enough for me to, because I've got to redo another one. So I have got this. Now definitely got 19 kits made up. So here are the kits that I've got made up, and everyone gets half a piece of that, and then they get other bits and pieces and stuff for the eye. And the background fabric is quite a thick type of calico, and I only had enough for these kits. So I just, for my own and to show on the sample, this is my sort of attempted eco dyeing, which didn't really work out that way, but the coloration's quite nice. So I might put a bit of thin iron-on Flies-A-Fix on it, just to make it a bit thicker, because the calico that you get in the kits are quite thick. So what you get in the kit is a pink Galah pattern. So if you want to, you can use this. I had to just sort of do it because the Galah is my design, but this, I couldn't reproduce that because it's a design already, even though it's vintage. But I wanted to do something that was nice and simple. So I grabbed out some of my Australian eucalyptus leaf and whatever books. And so I've got these eucalyptus leaves, and these are like a bottle brushes, and then sort of like some of the flowers that you get on the eucalyptus leaf. I wanted to make it sort of Australian, and I like the idea of having that roundness on there, but I wanted to keep it on an A4 page, which is easier for me to print off the patterns. So that's what I come up with, and I really like it. It's very Australian. So what I'm going to be doing today, like, I'll continue on with this in the background, and I mean, I'll show you, still got to do stitching on that, but I had enough of the pink. I could do that, but I had to improvise with some of this stuff. So I will show you what I'm going to do, and then yeah, I kept the calico for you guys. So I'll show you what you get in the kit. You get a pattern, and then you get half of this. And with these bits here, see how you really do need to cut out bits that have got stitching on there, because it holds together. So probably just go on the machine. Not all of them are like this. Some of them have got, they're all stripes and everything. It's just random, whatever you get. So on these bits here, maybe go on the machine and continue it on, just so that they don't fall apart. So because when I cut them, like I showed in when I made this, I cut them on the line, because if you cut them like that, see how there's nothing holding it together, and you lose that the texture, which is what we want, because this is not a slow stitch, this is more textile art. And then I had the scraps and bits and pieces that I've got left over like that. Some come in bits like that, I just had to use what I had, and some come in bits like that. See how that's got a little bit more. So then I've got a little scrap piece like that. That's for the eye. It's got some stitching on there, but that's okay. That's the red for the eye. So you use Flies-A-Fix This is for the mouth. It's a little bit bigger, like I just cut out bits for the mouth bit here. That's the red for the eye. That's the actual eye. And then I had a heap of this. Can it use either side? I'm going to actually use, it's got a little bit of a sparkle in it, tiny bit. And I'm going to use that for the mouth. But you can use that as a sort of like a polo fleece. It's actually quite nice and soft. And here is the calico, which is a bit thicker, so you probably wouldn't need to do the backing on there. I just needed to do it on that because that was quite thin. And what else have we got? So we'll put those together. There we go. So that's from Vintage Quilts. I just didn't have enough because this was from my own personal stash. I didn't have enough of this because that's from a vintage quilt as well to make that many kits, so I just improvised and used what I had. And so that's a fairly big piece of the calico pieces. Will be around about that big. I think they're the same size or a little bit bigger than the original A4. So yeah, okay, so I'm just going to put that in there. So that's what you get in the kit. And then this is part 1 of the tutorial on how you are going to create this one. So I'll put that away. He's so cute, just love him. Now get that one out. What I'm going to do, got me little bits and pieces here. I've got my little pink Galah pattern and all that kind of stuff. And I have got this piece, but I still may turn that into, here's my picture where I got the coloration from. Now on these patterns, what you do is you turn it around this way for these parts. Okay, so then you trace, you could see it through that pretty good, so you trace along here. You probably don't even need to do it on these ones. And then you get your Flies-A-Fix paper. And you trace that on there, which you stick on the wrong side. So you got to remember, you want it to be the wrong side away. So that's what I've done. Now I'm going to put the iron on. One of my bits and pieces has fallen down. Plug in the iron. Now here's what I used as inspiration. I got a, yeah, that's what I did. See, I just traced the back side of that. Here's my inspiration that I got for the actual design. So these are like eucalyptus with these little bits and pieces there. And I was looking at some of the colour, and I'm reckon this colour, and then the bottle brush, I'm going to use that with that colour, so because that brings out the cocky. So I'm probably going to use bits and pieces of these. So there you go. So I thought I had to, okay, what do they look like? So it has a bit of yellow in the middle, and so I'm going to use that too. And I just sort of hand drew that was there. Okay, now I've got here. So what you need to do is you with your piece of calico, either have a light box or whatever, trace your whole pattern out. You do need, I didn't worry about doing the stripes and all that kind of stuff on there. Where is it? There you go. So put that underneath, and then it'll come shining through. When you haven't seen, well, you can see it just like that there because it's quite dark. I've made it dark purposely, but if you've got a light box or on a window, and sort of trace it just so you know where to go. You probably don't need to put these little bits in unless you decide that you want to just do it as an embroidery. and do pink and all that kind of stuff, and just do that as embroidery, and you know, keep your little other little pink piece here and do some slow stitch. So it's up to you. So I've got it all in there to do whatever you want to do. So what I'm going to do in this part here, so yeah, so you trace that along there, trace your bits and pieces, and then I'm going to, now this is the beak part here, so that's the line. I'm going to make it just a tad bigger because I want it to tuck underneath. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than what the actual thing is, because that's the mistake I made in the other one. See, I learnt it's good when you're doing a second part. Probably that's going to just go straight. That's the edge part, I think. Yeah, that needs to be sort of straight, whereas that's going to be a little bit bigger because I want it to go underneath. Okay, now, so there's that part. I'm going to cut this up. That cuts directly on the line. Okay, so this is why you do need to trace your pattern. In the one that I showed of mine, I didn't show you this part, so since this is the kit and the tutorial, I thought I'd better show this part, whereas the one that I made for myself, I didn't need to show it. I was just showing you where I was going with it. Okay, there's that, and then there's this piece. So the reason why I use this polo fleece stuff is because it's got a bit of a thickness to it, which is what you need, because you want it to be textured. Okay, that's that. Okay, now the eye. Okay, this is the center of the eye. Now it does seem really weird, but they do have red eyes, fairly dark. Okay, and then this bit here, and I tried to put it on a bit where that was stitched. I thought I'll get the bit that it's the least amount of stitch, because I can work around that. Okay. It's sort of coming apart a little bit, but I might even glue that, but it's just enough stitched on. Okay, so what we need to do, this little piece here, is we'll get there we go, that piece there. I might even cut it on a bit of an angle. It seems a little long. Okay, there we go. So take it over to, oh, I'll probably do it on this. Forgot that I got an ironing board thing underneath. Okay, stick that there. Okay, then get this bit here. Oop. Yeah, it's a little bit more rounded on the top than this part, I think, because there we go. And it's cool if it doesn't particularly fit perfectly, because remember, we've got to put all the bits and pieces on, so that's okay. Now I might do that bit there first. Nope, don't you move. Okay. And that's okay. Remember, it's fine. If you don't cut it properly, see, I make the mistake so you don't have to. Now, see, even with it being that little bit wider, it's still okay. Now, get the eye. No, it must be this way. There we go. That needs to be textural because everything else is going to be textural. Okay. And then the eye, before I do that, maybe it's that way, yeah. I have to come back and draw all those other bits and pieces on, that's all right. That's what you got the pattern for. Okay. Now, right, seems to be going that way. So that's how I'll do it. Okay, there we go. Now with this bit here, I might, see that's stuck there, but it doesn't seem to be stuck to the actual thing, so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue there, and I'm going to do a little bit of glue there too. So hopefully it'll stick down a little bit. Okay, now pull out this so I don't burn myself. Okay, so what we're going to do with this, got a little bit of, I'll probably sew that one down first. So I've got a bit of cream. And we're just going to be stitching that down. And this technique that I do with this is the same that I'll be doing with that. And that, because that's down, and I'll stitch along here, you probably won't need to stitch that middle one down. Okay, so just come up, and it doesn't need to be a blanket stitch, just going to be a little stab stitch holding it down, because we're going to be having all the other bits and pieces all around it. So you're just picking it up and it's holding it down. The beauty of this piece is that it's textile art, so you don't have to be as perfect, which I'm really enjoying actually. So go, you know, underneath on like a little bit of an angle, pull, so you can use this for a wall hanging, a pillow, journal cover, whatever you like. Just gives you a bit of an idea on how to do some of the textile art that you can use a different range of fabrics. You don't just have to stick to you know, the cotton quilting fabric. You've got, I really enjoy using what's the name fabric I really enjoy using. Didn't quite pick that up. Let's go back underneath. Vintage fabric. So now so just continue sewing around. Just a little stab stitch. If you are a little bit more fussier, you can do a blanket stitch, but the reason why I don't want to do that is because where are we? Where's my piece? Where's my little, just trying to see, oh here we go, because you're going to put all these bits and pieces around it, so yeah, it really I don't want to see lines going there like that. We're going to be putting some French knots and all that kind of stuff and embellishing the eye, which I was thinking of using maybe that colour. Might get my little piece. This is my inspiration. So see how it's got, you know, sort of pinkish, that sort of stuff on there. So I'm probably going to do a couple of French knots and everything, which is being put on the pattern. Put that over there, so you know where to go. You know, like I've got some French knots and lines and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, okay, now put that over there. So you see how it's got little fluffy tufty bits, but that's all right because you remember Lysavix is holding it down too. Now I'm just wondering, I might even use this colour because I want a bit of a different colour on it, so I'm just going to go straight over like that, because I want to take away a bit of that white stark colour. I'm going to go like that. It's a bit thicker to go through. Oop. Be careful, these things knot up. And I'm just using a size 8 pearl cotton, so that's what I use for this. You can use DMC threads, you can use whatever you want. Stick my thing on because this is a little thicker. Go underneath, go on top. Just enough to hold it down, so you sort of go like that and then go on a bit of an angle across. Okay, I might try and pick up a little bit of that grey in the mouth as well, just so that gets held down, but I'm probably going to do a little bit of stitching in there too. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll continue on with this, and okay, sort of do want to cover that black on the beak there, so I'm going to twist that around. There's ways of fixing mistakes, not a problem. Okay, So you've got the drift of what you need to do, so I might stop that there. Now with the eye sinking, I might do, there's a grey, bits of threads everywhere, a grey colour, because it is a slight grey colour that goes around, but it's probably not grey enough. Probably that one, yeah. So I'll get some grey, and I'll probably get an extra bit because I might use these for the French knots. Okay. Stuff everywhere. Okay, little selection of needles there. Now, still got to do this part on my one. Okay, so what we might do here is we're going to do a backing stitch. So you just enough to hold it down, but I want it to be a line and to lighten it up a tad. And I didn't really particularly want to do black. Get this out of the way. So you just got to come in just a little bit in from there, because if you go too close to the edge it will fray. Okay. Okay. Oops, it's a little close to the edge there. It's okay though. Now, get quiet when I'm concentrating. So what I'm going to do after I finish this, oops, see, a bit too close. Is I'll get out the texture and draw that black dot, and then we do a satin stitch to make that stand out more. Okay. Now, okay, now I'm going to just leave that there for a second, so sort of already the eye stands out a little bit. So what we're going to do, get my pattern. Okay, pattern on this. So we're just going to do, just draw a circle. If you don't feel comfortable with doing this, do this over the pattern on the actual red flies affixed beforehand. So I leave a little bit of a bit there, and then I'm going to colour in the rest, because that is the white. Now I'm just going to draw once again. A bit hard to do it, you just use the pattern as a guide, just a dot, a couple of dots, around randomly. Do it really lightly because it can tend to bleed a little bit. So, okay, so now what I'm going to do, probably can't see. Can you see that where they've done the black? So I'll do a satin stitch on that. But since I've got the grey, I'm going to do, this is what I still need to do on mine. So I'll use these little lines, and see, this is another way you can hold your bit of stuff together. Oh, gotta be so careful, constantly pricking myself. Okay, now, so you get that, and then you do either a French knot. I think I might just do a French knot. I mean, yeah, using one. We'll see how big that is, because you don't want to have it too big. Yeah, that should be all right. All depends how many you want to do. Like a single French knot is not too bad. And then as I get onto the bottom, I could probably do some colonial knot, because some of those are a little bit bigger. So maybe this one here, I'll do a colonial knot, which is that figure 8, because it's a little bit bigger. The ones down the bottom here are a little bit bigger. Okay, so I'll probably do 3 of those. Yeah, so if you ever want it, that's the difference between colonial and French knots, is that the colonial always ends up a little bit bigger. Okay, there we go. And I might have one more colonial, and then the rest will probably be the smaller French knots. Okay, so like I said, some of the pieces here, they've got a little bit more stitching on them, but I just had to use what I had. So the kits vary just slightly, but they've got all the elements in it and pieces to use. So about 4 colonial knots around the side to make it a little bigger. These ones have just got French knots, just 1. Okay. This is, oh, I think it come undone. There we go. There we go. And then just stitching on this piece on the line. There we go. And since I've got a little bit of the grey left in there, I might go across like I did with that and stitch some of the grey in the mouth while I'm here, because this bit hasn't been attached yet. Okay, so got grey on there anyway. Okay, now I'll take this out and put it over here. Same with that one. Okay, here we go, 35 minutes already. So that's what we're doing with this part. I was hoping to start on this, but no, it's not going to work out that way. So yeah, so what you do is you just get the black there, and you get some black thread, and you just stitch it. If you look at any of my birds, like the robin or the owl or whatever, it's just a satin stitch across, and you leave a little bit there, and then you use the white. I might even use this. It's light enough. Yeah, or maybe a little bit of sort of an off-white to give that glint, which is what you want. See that little glint there? That's a glint. So just fill that in with straight stitch, and then do one little French knot there. So that will give you that part. Okay, well, I'll finish this off behind camera because it's already 30 something minutes, and then for the next piece we are going to start doing the embroidery for that. I thought I'll do that first because that needs to be stitched, and I found doing my other one, it's a lot easier to do before. So yeah, okay guys, thank you very much, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.